Hey guys, Glockster 42 scale model Alberta. I took a week off. Should have had this done a couple weeks ago, but I had some things to do, so I got them done. We're going to start doing the running gear in the lower area, and we're going to do some dust effects on this trumpeter Italian Ariete. I did the sun fading earlier. Check that one out, fading with pigments. For the sun fading, I used the Mig Products Allied Green Fading P036. That was just to lighten up this dark olive drab and give it a little bit more variation without doing a color modulation or using your airbrush. So this is basically a lot of the stuff you could do with an airbrush. Now you could use Tamiya dust or deck tan and give these all a good coat and bring the dust up along the sides. But we're gonna use some pigments today. So we're gonna be using some of the Tamiya Weathering Master products, the sand and the light sand, and we're also going to be using some Mig European dust, which is P028. We're gonna use some Gulf War sand, P037, and we're gonna use a little bit of a concrete P026. So let's get started, and we'll start on the running gear first. So I don't do a lot of these kind of tutorials, guys, so I'm still getting my lighting and all that kind of stuff set up. And I'm not exactly sure how where my hand points and that are all going to go. So just bear with me here, guys. This is kind of a learning experience. So what we're going to do, first of all, we're going to get some heavier caked in sand in these drive wheels and the road wheels. So we're going to use Mig Gulf War sand. So when you put this in, you're going to think, well, okay, great, we're putting this in, and then what are we going to do with it? Well, we'll show you there. Just don't be too worried about how it goes. Get it in there on the side. Okay, we just did a quick camera reposition, make it a little bit easier for you guys to see what the heck I'm doing here. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to load up these road wheels with the pigments. So you're thinking to yourself, yeah, okay, G42, that's awesome, dude, but if I sneeze, it's all gone. Yeah, you're right. If you sneeze, it's all gone. If your kid looks cross at it, if your girlfriend or if you're married, well, all your wife has to do is give it a dirty look and it'll be fleeing for its life. Can you tell I've been married for a few years? Anyway, you just pop this in here. And you're like, dude, that looks like shit. Yeah, it does. Doesn't look all that good right now. The point of it is that it's not supposed to look good right now. It's supposed to look good here in a few minutes. Is that gonna stay? Alright. Okay. Now, there's a couple ways, guys, that you can... Oops. I'm getting used to a whole new system of lighting, tripods, all that kind of good stuff. So bear with me here, guys. We're trying to make it so it looks good. I got new lighting. So there's a couple ways you can fix it. You can actually use Mig Pigment Fixer. And it does exactly what it says it does. It fixes that pigment there till kingdom come. You literally have to damn near scrape it off to get it out. So, nah, I'm not going to use that. Or you can use something like this, thinner for washes. And honestly, this isn't Mig stuff because he wants $14 for 12. Well, this was $12.95 probably about 6-8 years ago. So it's just odorless thinner now from another total rip-off place is Michael's. I hate their prices. Their prices are just stupid. So anyway, what we do is we just touch on this. Is just low odor paint thinner. Okay, I gotta tell you guys a story. Quick story at Michael's. Quick story at Michael's. My kid wanted some metallic Sharpies. So this set of 3 metallic Sharpies, gold, bronze, and silver, at Michael's was $14.95 for the 3 of them. I thought that was a little expensive. We went right next door to Staples $3.95 for the very same packaging. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're just going to set this in. You're just going to do pop, pop, and you're just going to, you're not going to touch the pigments with your brush. You're just going to flow it in and let the pigments absorb, let the thinner absorb into the pigments. Don't touch the pigments with your brush. Just find an edge and let everything flow into it. Go from the top and the sides, and gravity will do the rest. Gravity and surface tension will just bring it right up into where you want it to be. Now this is going to take a few hours to dry off. Once the thinner flashes off, once all the solvents evaporate, you're going to be left with a fairly, it's going to stick, but if you want to remove it, just a dry paintbrush will peel that stuff right off. Now it doesn't look like much now, because what happens is that the pigments are of course wet, and they get dark and they take on the background color. Now as soon as that flashes off, it will take on that color. It'll look just like a thick, heavy matting of dust in those road wheels. Okay, now we're going to add some dust effects with the Tamiya. We're going to start with a little bit of sand, which is a little yellower shade than the light sand. So we're going to keep the darker colors a little bit low, and just take the applicator sorry about that, guys. So you just use the rubber of the brush start bringing in your dust effects. You want to keep it all kind of vertical, because that's generally how you see the dust. A little heavier in the bottom, a little lighter on the top. Now, you've got some real streaks through here, so what we'll do is we'll just bring our other brush in. It still has some of the Gulf War sand in it, and just kind of work it around. And if you don't like it, just take your finger and work it out. That's all you need to do. And if you want to make some streaks like rust streaks, some dust, rain streaks, but they're not going to be rain, they're going to be dust, just use the rubber end of this to pull it all out, just to add some evenness. Okay, we're a little wonky looking there, and that's okay because we're just getting started on this. So what we're going to want to do now is go over to the light sand and kind of work our way down from the top with the lighter sand down to bring it down, to bring it and make it look dusty. Now, a couple of things you need to keep in mind when you're dealing with a desert environment is this basically is a desert environment tank. You're going to really want to get this stuff worked into all the low points that you spent all that time post shading and pre-shading, because dust is going to get into those nooks and crannies. So if you really want to get some dusty nooks and crannies, we're going to grab some concrete here, which is really a gray color. I'm just going to get a little bit on our brush like this, and we're just going to work this in gently into here. We'll take the short clean brush like we've got going here, and then just start working it through. Don't forget to get under here. You just want to get a little bit under here. Nobody can really see that under there. There. So bring it down and see how it looks. Okay, I need to. So the nice thing about this rubber applicator, it's really nice for blending and smoothing things in. Now then, think about it. Where's the dust going to accumulate? Well, it's going to accumulate in the flats probably. Now you don't want to overwhelm it. You still want to keep some tonal variations into it. So that gives you a pretty good start, guys, onto doing some weathering with pastels, especially dust effects with pigments. Now you don't have to go out and spend this. You can just go into an art supply store and pick up a couple of 99-cent hard pastel chalks, shave them down, and have at her. Although the one thing I'll say with this Tamiya stuff, it almost has a little bit more, I don't know, I'm not sure how to describe it, but it's almost like a little, almost a waxy, it almost can go on waxy and it adheres a lot nicer, and it's a little easier to spread maybe than the conventional pastels, guys. I don't know if that makes any sense or not. So stuff that's really going to get dusty, make sure it gets dusty. Okay? You don't want the whole thing looking like it's been overwhelmed with talcum powder, because then you'll lose all the effects that you're going for. I'm not going to worry too much about painting these lights. So anyway, guys, there's a start. We've probably rambled on enough on here. So I'm going to knock the camera off. Well, as you can see right here, you can see how some of this is starting to dry back and it's starting to look a lot better. So this is just the first coat on these tires. Once this dries off, we'll go do another coat. I'm going to set the actually no, I'm not. I'm going to do a little bit more here. Now we've got a great big long piece along here that's just crying out for some dust effects. Now another product you can use is the Tamiya weathering stick. This is a very waxy product that does go on almost like a wax, almost goes on wet and dries off. So you can just take a little bit of this and get into the, say, the areas that you want a lot of dust effects in, where the stuff would be almost like a mud. This is really built up here in this section. So let's say that the guys had some schmeg on their boots and they wiped their boots off, and there we are. So we're gonna go easy with this because it's very easy to overdo it. Now you can look, and that's, ooh, wow, that's pretty harsh, dude. Yeah, it is. It is pretty harsh. But we have the technology to fix whatever we want with this stuff. So now we're going to go back to the Mig Golf War sand, and we're just going to start putting on some powder on top. Just bring it down about halfways. And as you can see, it kind of dries off that wetter Tamiya stuff, the Tamiya powder. Now on here, you're definitely going to want to try and get that into the holes and the cracks. big thing is to just be subtle. Less is more, because if you add too much, it's sometimes hard to take away. Whereas if you just keep doing smaller coats and work it in, you get a much subtler effect. The one thing I've learned about weathering is if you think you're going to do nicely weather a model or a tank or whatever in one sitting, you are mistaken. The best way to weather, to get convincing results, is let it build up over multiple coats. And the most luck I've had with weathering is going back 3, 4, 5, 6 times after everything is dried and cured, and going back and revisiting what I've done, adding, taking off, and layering. Because really, when you look at weathering, you know, most of the time these tanks aren't driven out one day, parked, okay, they're dirty, and that's it. They're taken out day after day, hours after hour, and maybe get back 12, 14-hour shift, and bang, the guys are sacked out. They haven't got time to wash their vehicle. It goes out the next day. It may have multiple days under its belt. So that's what you need to build up, is multiple coats of weathering. You're not going to do a weathering in one sitting. At least not at least not a very realistic approach. You look at guys like Adam Wilder. They probably spend as much time weathering as they do building, because it's layer after layer, and it's, you know, it's pastels, it's pigments, it's mud, it's oils, it's just a little bit of everything, guys. Splatter effect. You just need to keep going at it. And now, okay, great. I'm pretty happy with Gulf War sand. I'm not going to use any more Gulf War sand. So let's go to something different. Let's try some European dust, which is a little bit lighter, and it has more of a red tone to it. So this is European dust P028 from Mig. So let's just use some of that. You can see it's got a little bit different color, a little bit better texture in it. So let's just add some of this into the mix. Okay. So we're going to add a little bit of this into the mix. And see, we're going to almost custom blend our colors, because nothing should stay the same. Everything should be a little bit different. Okay. So alright guys, I'm going to carry on with this, and basically it's all the same as putting on different layers of different colors until you get a result that you're happy with. So all I can say is that there is no right and there is no wrong. It's what you like and what looks good for the environment that you're building your tank in. Now this may not be the weathering if you're going to put this in Europe in the spring or the fall. You're going to have probably more mud, less dust effects, and a lot more mud effects. So remember guys, your weathering, it has to be conducive with where you are, what your vehicle is doing, and what kind of conditions it's in. Alright guys, I'm going to get after this, get this posted. Really appreciate my subscribers, everybody watching, taking the time out of their busy lives to view this little channel. And guys, appreciate it. Take care. Later.